Tatsuya was born into the Yatsuba family, a wealthy family in Japan. This family desired to have magical powers, and they were specifically focused on making Tatsuya a superhuman. However, when he was born, it became evident that he didn't possess any magical abilities. As a result, his family ridiculed and expelled him from the family. He cried and pleaded, but nobody listened, not even his mother, who wanted to get rid of him to protect the family's reputation. His mother made him the bodyguard of his sister, and since that day, Tatsuya never cried again. The pain was so overwhelming that he forgot how to express emotions. Whenever he returned home, Hanami the maid welcomed him. His sister made him carry all her belongings, treating him like a servant. Even when Miyuki asked for permission to go out, she would take Tatsuya along, maintaining some distance from him, as she always saw him as a servant. Once, when Miyuki got into a confrontation with some people, Tatsuya intervened to protect her, but he was overpowered by those retired officers. He politely requested them to let them go, but it was evident that he had no intention of backing down. One of them punched Tatsuya, but he managed to stop the attack. Miyuki thought he used magic, and Tatsuya warned the officers again. But when they attempted another attack, Tatsuya easily overpowered them and took Miyuki away from the situation. On the way, Miyuki wondered how Tatsuya acquired such skills. When they returned to the villa, Miyuki shared everything with Hanami, who praised Tatsuya. However, Tatsuya's duty was fulfilled, so he left. Meanwhile, Mia wasn't feeling well, but Miyuki was going to attend a party hosted by one of her branch leaders. Miyuki seemed a bit worried, so Hanami cheered her up to ensure it wouldn't affect her image. As they arrived at the party, Hanami felt uncomfortable about Tatsuya having to play the role of a bodyguard due to his lack of magical powers. When they entered the party, Miyuki greeted Mitsubu, who introduced her to her cousins. Tatsuya took his position as a bodyguard, and when Miyuki's cousins approached him, she noticed a smile on Tatsuya's face, which made her feel a bit jealous. Mitsubu intervened, pretending to protect his children from Tatsuya's actions, but in reality, he wanted to keep them away from him, which Miyuki noticed. They all considered Tatsuya a protective toy. Miyuki thought that Tatsuya had never treated her like a sister or shown any concern for her. He merely performed his duty. To lighten the mood, Tatsuya mentioned that his designated round as a bodyguard was over. The next day, the family members decided to spend time on a yacht. When someone suggested swimming, Tatsuya's mom mentioned that he was used to spending money on land and not in the water. They all started taking pictures, and it was evident that Tatsuya couldn't accompany them without his mother's permission. Finally, she agreed, and Miyuki smiled. As they were taking photos, a submarine collided with their yacht. Miyuki and Hanami activated their CAD, a device aiding in magic. Miyuki noticed that Tatsuya's hands were completely empty, making her think he was useless. Suddenly, she saw the shadow of two torpedoes, leaving her amazed as none of them had the magic to compete. Tatsuya pointed his finger towards them, casting a spell to dismantle the torpedoes in seconds. Miyuki couldn't comprehend how he did it. Tatsuya seemed to use advanced magic effortlessly. She started realizing how powerful her elder brother truly was. That evening, Kazama, a captain from a nearby military, visited the villa. When everyone went to say goodbye, they encountered the officer whom Tatsuya had confronted earlier. Kazama learned about the incident and asked the officer to apologize, which Tatsuya pardoned at Miyuki's request. While leaving, Kazama invited Tatsuya to the unit base. The next day, Tatsuya's mom hosted a women's special party and ordered him to go to the unit base. Miyuki requested to accompany him to understand his bodyguard skills better. Her mother agreed, but she told them to behave like siblings in public and instructed Tatsuya to call Miyuki by her name. At the base, they were welcomed by a man named Sanada, who took them to the training zone. At the training zone, under Kazama's supervision, everyone was practicing basic magic. When Kazama saw Tatsuya, he also invited him to participate. Tatsuya's first opponent was a national boxing champion. The match began and the boxer threw a barrage of punches at Tatsuya, but he effortlessly dodged them and defeated the boxer with a single strike. Next, Tatsuya faced a black belt, and his skills earned him praises from everyone. In the end, Tatsuya effortlessly defeated his opponent. However, Tatsuya noticed a little boy feeling disheartened by witnessing his soldiers losing. Kazama felt a bit embarrassed and issued a final challenge to Tatsuya. Joseph, whom Tatsuya had defeated earlier, stepped forward to request a chance to face him again. Tatsuya agreed, but Miyuki started worrying about him. In this match, Tatsuya had to use magic to win against the soldier. Miyuki objected to this, but Tatsuya explained that using magic was a magician's right. Tatsuya showcased his agility and magic skills, astonishing Joseph and defeating him on the floor. Joseph felt embarrassed to have lost to a 13-year-old, but he admired Tatsuya's use of a high-level spell, Gram Demolition, an S-rank spell. Impressed by Tatsuya's abilities, Kazama invited both Miyuki and Tatsuya to learn the techniques used by him. Sanada also offered to show them the CADs they were working on, which greatly interested Tatsuya. A few days later, Miyuki noticed that Tatsuya was working on his CAD late into the night, ignoring his health. Suddenly, an alarm sounded, resembling an air raid, and an announcement informed them that a patrol boat was attacked by missiles, causing a fire. The announcement advised everyone to stay in their homes. Tatsuya arrived and revealed that Kazama offered them shelter at the base. At the same time, Hinomi informed Miyuki that her sister called and advised her to go to the base as well. Miyuki asked Tatsuya to talk to Kazama about transportation. Upon reaching the base, Joseph led them all to a room with another family. They had to wait there until the shelter was made safe. They heard gunshots and Tatsuya attempted to use his magic to scan the area, but he realized that it was shielded, preventing him from seeing what was happening outside. Miyuki sent Tatsuya outside to gather information, but he was hesitant, fearing for her safety if he left her unprotected. His mother scolded him for addressing Miyuki using her name and asked him to apologize, stating that he shouldn't meddle in their affairs and should focus on the tasks given to him. Reluctantly, Tatsuya went outside and saw the base personnel engaged in combat with enemies, some of whom were infiltrators. A soldier named Kinju arrived with 3 companions and assured the civilians that he would lead them to a safe place. Hinomi said that one of their acquaintances was still outside, and Tatsuya's mother suggested that they could take another family with them. For the first time, Hinomi felt her concern openly expressed. However, Tatsuya's mother added that she couldn't trust those people. Before anything further could happen, Joseph intervened and called out to Kinju, but the intruders began firing indiscriminately. Hinomi used her magic to create a shield to protect Miyuki and herself, but the infiltrators managed to disrupt their shield using their magic spells. After the argument between Joseph and Kinju, Miyuki successfully freezes them with her suppressing magic. Kinju, in anger, fires bullets at the frozen trio. At that moment, Tatsuya arrives and using the CAD he was working on, defeats all the enemies with his magic. When he sees Miyuki in distress, he rushes to her, places his hand on her and calls her name. She doesn't respond because she has already fainted. Tatsuya shouts that he won't let her die and uses a unique magic spell. In a state of unconsciousness, Miyuki finds herself in a serene and cold place where she can hear Tatsuya calling out to her. She feels that Tatsuya must be upset by her death, regretting her past behavior towards him, as she never treated him well since childhood. She wants to apologize, but it seems too late now. Suddenly, she sees a magical ring in the sky that starts to help her. When she opens her eyes, she realizes that the ring is a result of Tatsuya's magic and that it is incredibly powerful and magnificent. As Miyuki fully recovers, she embraces Tatsuya because she is now completely safe. When Tatsuya suggests helping others, Miyuki insists on staying by his side. As she sees her mother being shot, she lets her handle the situation, and Tatsuya heals Hinomi and Miya. However, their mother is still unconscious, so they seek a doctor's help. Kazama apologizes for the incident, and Tatsuya wants to know the reason behind it. Kazama explains that their target was another family, but the enemies show no mercy. He reveals that the enemies control their actions from beneath the water. Understanding the situation, Tatsuya requests the safest shelter for his family and some weapons. When Kazama asks about his intentions, Tatsuya declares that he will take revenge for his sister's death. But Kazama says they can't provide weapons to civilians as they want the enemies to surrender. Tatsuya could see in Kazama's eyes that he has no intention of giving the enemies a chance to surrender. Eventually, Kazama agrees to let Tatsuya stay with them. As he's leaving, Miyuki tries to stop him. Tatsuya tells her that he has to take revenge because the enemies have hurt his most precious thing. He assures Miyuki that he'll come back because with the power he possesses, he can defeat anyone. Later, their family sees Tatsuya fighting alongside the military against the enemies. Hinomi comments on the fight being like a nightmare. Tatsuya enjoys using his magic to defeat the enemies, and it appears that he even revives his fallen comrades. Miyuki asks her mother what Tatsuya meant by his words earlier. At first, her mother scolds her for calling him brother, but she eventually explains that Tatsuya was born as a defective magician. For him, true magic takes a different form. He can erase and rewrite any information, which is why he can stop himself from seeking revenge or harming their family. She reveals that she had performed numerous experiments on him to try to change his magic and suppress his emotions. Since all the experiments failed, she used his defective power to protect Miyuki by making him her bodyguard. Listening to this, Miyuki starts crying, feeling overwhelmed by how she can repay Tatsuya for all his kindness. When the battle is about to end, the enemy's 6 ships disappear separately. The soldiers try to chase them, but the base commander stops them as he's unaware of what's happening, especially with Sanada, Tatsuya, and Kazama still behind them. Sanada had developed a huge sniper CAD, which he had in his possession. After noticing the CAD, Hinomi seeks permission from Tatsuya's mother to support him. Tatsuya's mother agrees because she also wants to know Tatsuya's plan. When Hanami arrives, she activates her shield to block the enemy's attacks, allowing Tatsuya to attack without worry. Tatsuya uses his magic spell material and creates a terrifying tsunami that overwhelms all the enemies. Returning to Tatsuya's side, he sees that Hanami is on the verge of death because she used all her power in the shield. Before she passes away, she explains that she was seeking an opportunity to fulfill her duty as a human rather than as a machine, so that she could leave this world like a human being. She wanted to teach Tatsuya this lesson, after which she lets go of her body. Due to the adverse weather conditions, the winters had become colder after 2030, and the world's population had reduced to just 3 billion. By 2045, the Third World War had already begun and lasted for nearly 2 decades. The 21st century was coming to a close, and as a result, every country emphasized training more and more children to become magicians. In this situation, Miyuki remembers how Tatsuya had risked his life to save her, and she wonders how she can repay him for his kindness. Today, there is a ceremony at Tatsuya's school, but he is not called into the auditorium. Miyuki questions why they treated him this way, especially when he had excelled in the exams. Tatsuya explains that mere academic excellence cannot prove his magical abilities, and Miyuki wishes that he receives the same respect as other magicians based on his skills alone. Tatsuya knows that Miyuki cares deeply for him, and he also worries about her just as much. Standing alone, Tatsuya gazes at the National University, where everyone aspires to become elite magicians. At that moment, a girl approaches him and asks if she can help him, but Tatsuya declines, saying he's fine. The girl introduces herself as Miyami Sagyusa, the student council president, and her friend's name is Erika. Afterward, the ceremony begins and Miyuki is called up on stage, expressing her gratitude for being part of the National University. Mizuki later asks Tatsuya if Miyuki is his real sister since their auras are quite similar. Tatsuya praises Mizuki's skill of recognizing people, but he worries that she might uncover his secrets. Just then, Miyuki arrives and Tatsuya introduces her to his new friends. President Miyami also joins them, inviting everyone to get to know each other better. In the evening, when Miyuki makes coffee for Tatsuya, he notices that she seems troubled. She explains that she received a welcome call from the principal, but they didn't even send Tatsuya an email, which upsets her. In the morning, while Tatsuya and Miyuki are at the shrine, some people attack Tatsuya, and a man named Shinobi starts to disrespect Miyuki. Tatsuya steps in and a duel ensues, but fighting the Shinobi proves to be challenging. When Tatsuya gets tired, Miyuki uses her magic spell to clean their clothes. Later at school, while Tatsuya is registering, a boy named Leo tells him that no one uses a keyboard for registration. Leo asks about Tatsuya's signature magic spells, but Tatsuya reveals his aspiration to become a magic engineer as he lacks practical skills. This leads to some teasing between Leo and Erika, but Mizuki calms them down. When they all go for lunch together, another argument arises. Miyuki joins them, and some kids from her class feel embarrassed to eat with her and her old friends because they are all Course 1 students. This angers Leo. In the evening, the kids from Miyuki's class tease Tatsuya and his friends, calling them weeds. Everyone wants Miyuki to stay away from them, and Leo challenges them to prove their superiority. However, a boy steps in, pointing a gun at Leo, but Erika intervenes and saves the situation. When they start fighting amongst themselves, President Miami and the head of the discipline committee, Mira Vatana, arrive and stop them. Mira recognizes that Tatsuya quietly helped his friends and possesses the ability to read others' spells. Miyuki apologizes to Mary on Tatsuya's behalf, and Miami explains to everyone that there are limits to using magic. Mary forgives them, but warns them not to repeat such mistakes in the future. While leaving, she asks for Tatsuya's name. Another boy from Miyuki's class, Shun Morisaki, threatens Tatsuya to behave himself in the future. After their departure, Miyuki suggests going home with Tatsuya. Then a girl named Hanoka approaches them and apologizes on Morisaki's behalf, mentioning that Tatsuya remained calm even after the threat. Hanoka offers to accompany them to the station. Mizuki reveals that Tatsuya is skilled with the CAD, but Tatsuya admits he doesn't have full confidence in his abilities yet. The next morning, President Miami comes to meet Tatsuya and invites Miyuki for lunch. She wants to talk with them at the student council office, where they have lunch with other officials including Rin, Mary, and A-chan. Tatsuya tells Mary that he can tell she cooks her food by looking at her hands. Miyuki suggests that they should bring their own lunchboxes as well. After lunch, Miami explains that the president is elected based on votes from other officers, and the president has the authority to remove any committee chairman. Mary reveals that the discipline committee appoints 3 officers for the sports, federation, and faculty committees. They are about to announce the first-year student representative. Miami suggests Miyuki join the student council, but Miyuki starts discussing Tatsuya's scores. She argues that if the student council is looking for a talented student, Tatsuya would be the perfect choice. She asks if Tatsuya can be given a chance. Rin explains that Course 1 students are usually chosen for the student council because it's the norm. Mayumi is pleased that Miyuki is interested in becoming a student council member, and Achin promises to guide her in her new responsibilities. Then Mary remembers that a Course 2 student can become a member of the discipline committee. Mayumi is delighted by this and announces Tatsuya as a member of the discipline committee. She briefs him on the rules, and Achan explains that the discipline committee assists in enforcing the school's rules. However, Tatsuya is still not entirely happy with this sudden decision. Later, Tatsuya and his friends are practicing in Magic Room 3, but he feels disappointed with his magical skills once again. In the evening, he goes to the council office with Miyuki, where Vice President Hanzo Hattori is also present. Tatsuya's actions impress Miyuki and Mary as he defeats Hanzo in their battle. Mary announces Tatsuya as the winner. Hanzo, although defeated, is intrigued by Tatsuya's abilities and admits that he misjudged him. He realizes that a magician should always remain calm, as magic holds immense power. Miyuki praises Tatsuya for never losing a competition despite being weaker in magic. After the battle, Tatsuya and his friends gather in Magic Room 3. Leo and Erika, the students who had challenged Tatsuya earlier, are also present. Miyuki introduces them, and Rin seems interested in Tatsuya's knowledge of CAD. Miyuki remarks that Tatsuya can decipher someone's background through their CAD, which surprises Rin. She insists on using Hanzo's full name, which annoys Hanzo. He challenges Tatsuya to prove his practical skills to become a member. Hanzo calls Tatsuya weed, a derogatory term for Course 2 students. Mary explains to Hanzo that Course 1 and Course 2 students often misunderstand each other, and having a skilled Course 2 student would dispel the notion of inferiority. Hanzo agrees to a battle with Tatsuya to understand his true potential. In the battle that follows in Magic Room 3, Tatsuya unleashes a lightning-fast attack, defeating Hanzo. Mary announces Tatsuya as the winner, surprising everyone with his abilities. Tatsuya's victory leaves a lasting impact, changing some perceptions about Course 2 students. After the battle, Mary asks Tatsuya about his move's secret. He reveals that it wasn't magic but a ninjutsu technique, emitting a wave that weakens the mental strength of any magician. Rin is intrigued by the gadget's science but finds it hard to believe Tatsuya's exceptional speed and low technical score. Achin is impressed with Tatsuya's silver horn CAD-designed gun and identifies him as a mysterious CAD engineer who created the loop cast system. Hanzo realizes his mistake and apologizes to Miyuki for his misbehavior. Mira assures Tatsuya that nothing can stop him from becoming a discipline committee member. Tatsuya hesitates to join Mira immediately, as he wants to be a magic engineer. Mira advises him to think it over. Later, two boys enter the room, calling Mira elder sister and irritating her. Mira becomes angry and starts attacking one of the boys, revealing that he's a Course 2 student. However, Mira explains that Hanzo had apologized to her earlier, surprising Tatsuya and the other boy. Impressed by Tatsuya's capabilities, the two boys, Tatsumi and Midori Sawaki, extend their hand for friendship. Mira suggests that they befriend Tatsuya as they understand each other's skills. Tatsumi and Midori introduce themselves and express their liking for Tatsuya. Later, Miyuki brings Tatsuya to update his CAD after witnessing a match that made her feel anxious. She is doubting her strengths and seeks reassurance from Tatsuya. Tatsuya tries to make Sakaya understand that she shouldn't rely solely on magic but should also use conventional methods in fights. The new member invitation week begins, where the students' talents are assessed to gauge each group's power. Afterwards, everyone is assigned their duties. Tatsuya and Shun join the patrol detail and are provided with CADs, as discipline committee members are allowed to use CADs within the school. However, Mira warns them not to misuse the CADs as it won't be taken lightly. Tatsuya asks Mira for 2 extra gadgets and they head outside. Shun tells Tatsuya that relying solely on CADs won't make them top-notch magicians. Outside, Tatsuya sees some people bothering Erika, so he intervenes and safely takes her away from the situation. They then head to an exhibition to watch a martial arts fight, where Kirihara, a skilled swordsman, forcefully requests a collaboration with Sakaya, a talented kendo practitioner. Erika informs Tatsuya that Sakaya won the National Junior High School Kendo Tournament, while Kirihara won the Kendo Kenjutsu Tournament the previous year. A duel between them is about to start. Kirihara boasts that he can defeat Sakaya without any magic skills and is confident in his swordsmanship. They engage in combat, and Erika expects a drama between them. However, when Kirihara attacks Sakaya with a real sword, Tatsuya steps in and nullifies his magic, arresting him for misusing it. Kirihara's companion tries to rescue him, but Tatsuya easily stops them, and even others fail to intervene. Master Tsukasa then arrives and prevents Sakaya from assisting Tatsuya. As we saw in the previous passage, Sakaya stops the fight between Tatsuya and Kirihara and arrests Kirihara for misusing magic, and he has to answer for this in a meeting. Tatsuya explains that there was a clash between the Kendo Club and the Kenjutsu Club due to personal grudges. As a member of the discipline committee, he had to speak out against the wrongdoing. Jumanji, who is the chairman of extracurricular activities and also in charge of all clubs, wants to know his opinion. Jumanji appears tall, broad, and very strong, but he makes decisions calmly. He believes Tatsuya did the right thing by stopping the improper use of magic spells, which is a crime. President Miyami confirms with Tatsuya that the Kendo Club was not at fault. Tatsuya tells her that he didn't use any magic. Then she asks him to leave. Later, during dinner together, Leo asks why Tatsuya didn't get hurt by Kirihara's dangerous spells. Tatsuya explains that his magic spell transformed only his sword into a sharp blade, and he knows how to handle it. Mizuki asks Tatsuya if he wasn't scared of the blade, and Miyuki calmly assures her that she trusts Tatsuya completely. Nothing dangerous can harm him. According to Miyuki, Tatsuya might have used cash jamming, but Tatsuya says she knows everything about him. Leo is curious about cash jamming and wants to know more. Mizuki explains that it requires an expensive stone, and Tatsuya didn't have anything like that as the Antoinette stone is only available to the military. On insistence, Tatsuya reveals that he used a theory called cash jamming, a specific magic jamming technique. Erika hadn't heard of this magic before and assumed Tatsuya must have invented it. Tatsuya explains that when two Shiads, casting assistant devices, are used together, they emit shin waves that jam anyone's magic spell. Leo explains that Tatsuya activated one CAD first and then generated an opposite effect by using the magic sequence of the second CAD, resulting in Shan signals being emitted, which disrupted the activation sequence of another person's magic. Tatsuya should patent this technique as it could be a way to block magic without the need for Antonite and could be a lucrative opportunity. However, Tatsuya believes that the effect of Antonite is weak, and he doesn't want to expose his technique to the public. Miyuki assures that he doesn't need to worry because his skills already set him apart from others. The next day is the fourth day of invitation week when Tatsuya receives news that something is amiss in Gymnasium 1 and all discipline officers are summoned there. When Tatsuya heads towards the scene, he notices an unknown man tailing him. Tatsuya catches sight of him, but the man disappears when Tatsuya approaches. Deciding to take a moment to relax, Leo informs Tatsuya that his name is being talked about all over the school, and everyone wonders how someone without magic became a member of the magic clubs. Just then, Miyuki arrives to talk to Tatsuya privately. She is concerned that people like the tailing man might misuse Tatsuya's abilities. Miyuki advises him to be cautious. As Tatsuya meets Sakaya later, she introduces herself and expresses gratitude to Tatsuya. She had wanted to meet him for a while, but Tatsuya gives her an appointment for 15 minutes later. Miyuki worries that people like Sakaya might take advantage of Tatsuya's powers and warns him to stay alert. When Tatsuya finally meets Sakaya, she thanks him again, but he dismisses it as merely doing his job. Sakaya reveals that some members of the discipline committee try to get close to her to improve their numbers. However, she feels embarrassed when she realizes that Tatsuya is also part of the committee. Taking the opportunity, Sakaya offers Tatsuya a chance to join the Kendo team. However, Tatsuya declines because he wants to know the reason behind the offer. Sakaya explains that she was also in Course 2 initially because her magic skills were quite weak. She didn't want her presence to cause any unfairness among students just because of her one skill. By joining the Kendo group, Tatsuya can showcase his skills properly to everyone. That's why all the non-magical clubs want him to be a part of them together. Miyuki asks if there's any connection between Tsukasa and her magic skills were quite weak. She didn't want her presence to cause any unfairness among students just because of her one skill. By joining the Kendo group, Tatsuya can showcase his skills properly to everyone. That's why all the non-magical clubs want him to be a part of them together. Miyuki asks if there's any connection between Tsukasa and Blanche, and Shinobi reveals that Tsukasa's stepbrother is the leader of Blanche named Hajime. He had led several secret operations and might be planning something related to tomorrow's forum. The next day, before the open forum in the auditorium, the purpose is explained. Miyami addresses the issue of discrimination among non-magical teams, wanting to remove terms like balloons and weeds as they are used by some students to taunt others. Some Course 2 students even refer to themselves as weeds, and Miyami wants to eradicate this bias. She believes that all 3 years are crucial for every student, so she aims to ensure that Course 2 students have equal rights to become committee members, not just Course 1 students. As the president, she will address the General Assembly and make every effort to achieve this. Suddenly, there's an attack on the school and a deadly gas bomb is released. Tatsuya advises everyone to hold their breath, and some enemies manage to get inside. However, Mary stops them. Tatsuya seeks permission from Mary to investigate the explosion. As Tatsuya and Miyuki head towards the library, they encounter Leo and Erika, who are dealing with some enemies. Miyuki helps them out, and plus Ms. Ono informs them that the intruder's target is the library. She reveals that her forces have already reached there, where Sakaya is also present. Ms. Ono wants Tatsuya to give Sakaya a chance, as she worked hard for her rights in the first year. However, Tatsuya decides to proceed, feeling that Ms. Ono's sympathy won't have any effect on him. At the main gate, other students are battling the intruders, witnessing a guy named G's demonstrating impressive spell use. As Tatsuya and his group approach the library, they hear some noise inside. Tatsuya uses his vibrations to determine everyone's location. Miyuki wonders what could be happening in the reading room with 4 people inside. Tatsuya believes there might be important information there. Erika takes care of 2 enemies ahead, while Tatsuya and Miyuki continue forward. Suddenly, the door to the special reading room collapses and Sakaya sees that Tatsuya and Miyuki have found them. An individual attempts to shoot them, but Miyuki freezes him in place. Tatsuya tells Sakaya that if everyone were equal, the world would either be full of fools or filled with wise people. Some individuals have treated Sakaya like a pawn. When Sakaya mentions that Tatsuya also experienced discrimination from childhood, he fails to understand her situation. Miyuki explains that she has always respected Tatsuya and never considered him inferior. She reminds Sakaya that there are friends who appreciate Tatsuya's skills, but Sakaya seems trapped in the web of discrimination. Miyuki praises Sakaya's sword skills and beauty, saying that these traits are also a part of her. People have judged her solely based on her magical abilities. At that moment, Sakaya's companion forces her to use cast jamming to escape, and she successfully evades Tatsuya and his group. However, she encounters Erika on her way, and upon seeing her, Sakaya raises her sword and orders her to step aside. However, Erika wasn't backing down and a battle ensues between them. They both engage in a fierce exchange, and Erika manages to cut Sakaya's sword. Sakaya decides to fight without using magic, but Erika injures her in one strike. Erika reveals that she is from the Chiba family and Mary Watanabe is her ally. As Tsukasa attempts to leave, Tatsumi stops him, expressing suspicion towards Tsukasa. They apprehend him, and Sakaya explains that Tsukasa was inciting the Kendo Club to fight against discrimination. After Sakaya was treated unfairly due to being a Course 2 student, she started to listen to Tsukasa's ideas. When Tatsuya asks for more details, Sakaya explains that the Kenjutsu team had attacked them once and Miss Watanabe's magic sword skills had stopped them, which impressed Sakaya. However, Mary had refused to teach her, making Sakaya think that it was because she was a Course 2 student. Mary clarifies that she never ignored Sakaya and believed that her skills surpassed her own. She wanted Sakaya to learn from a grandmaster since no one at school could match her sword skills. Upon hearing this, Sakaya realizes her misconception and regrets wasting a year in vain. Tatsuya tells her that she used that year to sharpen her skills and practice intensely, so it wasn't wasted. Later, Tatsuya inquires about the other Blanche members' whereabouts as he wants to confront them. Mary suggests involving the police as it's beyond the student's capacity, and Jumanji agrees with her. However, Tatsuya insists on facing them alone, and gradually, everyone starts insisting on going with him. Sakaya also wants to join him. Miyuki asks how they will find the Blanche headquarters, and Tatsuya realizes that Ms. Ono overheard their conversation. Tatsuya suspects an old ruin as a potential location and mentions that they'll need a car to go there. Jumanji offers to bring his car as he cannot hold hands and walk due to being a student. A while later, Kirihara also insists on joining Jumanji. However, he cannot put the lives of other students at risk. Kirihara admits that he made a mistake with Sakaya, and now wants to help her so he can tell her that he didn't do anything wrong intentionally. He insists on accompanying Tatsuya, and after understanding Kirihara's genuine intentions, Jumanji agrees to join them as well. With the group now ready, they head towards the potential Blanche headquarters. Tatsuya, Miyuki, Sakaya, Kirihara, and Jumanji embark on this dangerous mission together. Kirihara casts a spell to increase the car's speed, allowing them to reach their destination quickly. Tatsuya and Miyuki lead the way inside the building. As they enter, Tatsuya senses the presence of concealed individuals and proceeds cautiously. They come face to face with the leader of the branch. Hajime Sugasa is standing with his comrades. Tatsuya points his gun at Hajime, who bursts into laughter. Hajime offers Tatsuya to work with him, promising to teach him cast jamming without the need for an Antonite. However, Hajime attempts to hypnotize Tatsuya with his evil eye spell, but Tatsuya easily counters it, being well versed in evading such attacks. Realizing Hajime's treacherous intentions, Tatsuya recalls his previous encounter with him. Hajime orders his comrades to open fire, but Tatsuya skillfully dismantles their guns, rendering them useless. Frustrated, Hajime flees the scene, with Miyuki urging Tatsuya to pursue him. When one of Hajime's henchmen attempts to attack Tatsuya with a knife, Miyuki freezes him along with the rest of the enemies, while Jumanji and Kirihara handle other foes. Tatsuya confronts Hajime, who joins forces with his comrades to launch a coordinated cast-jamming attack on Tatsuya to eliminate him. However, Kirihara intervenes, stopping Hajime in his tracks, and in the chaos, Hajime's hand is severed. After the intense fight, they all gather outside. Miyuki checks on Tatsuya's well-being, and he informs her that Hajime has been taken care of, but he needs some time to recover in the hospital. The next day, when Tatsuya updates Sakaya about the entire situation, she informs him that she will need to spend some more time in the hospital to recover fully. The dangerous confrontation has left both Tatsuya and Sakaya dealing with the aftermath, but their determination to protect their friends in school remains unwavering. Everyone becomes aware that Captain Tsukasa is also in the hospital. When Tatsuya inquires, Sakaya tells him that she will be discharged around May but promises to call him before leaving. Upon exiting the hospital, Tatsuya meets Mr. Hayama, whom Tatsuya's mother sent to check on him. However, Hayama still feels disconnected from his family. On the day of Sakaya's discharge, Tatsuya and Miyuki visit her, and Kirihara is also present. Just then, Sakaya's father, Yusobi Mibi, arrives to talk to her. He expresses his gratitude to Tatsuya for supporting Sakaya during her recovery, acknowledging that it was Tatsuya who boosted her spirits and made her realize her true potential. During their conversation, Yusobi mentions Kazama, prompting Tatsuya to inquire about him. Yusobi reveals that Kazama had praised Tatsuya multiple times before his retirement. When Tatsuya returns to Sakaya, he shares the information about her father's acquaintance with Kazama, who admires Tatsuya's skills. At this point, Erika makes a teasing remark about Tatsuya and Sakaya's relationship, making them both slightly embarrassed. In reality, Sakaya considers Kirihara and Tatsuya to be good friends and admires Tatsuya's strong personality. Tatsuya acknowledges that Kirihara genuinely cares for Sakaya, as evidenced by his actions during the incident with Hajime. Tatsuya and Miyuki leave the hospital after their visit, with the knowledge that Sakaya is recovering well and the bond between their group remains strong. When Miyuki and Tatsuya are practicing at the temple, Tatsuya senses someone's presence, and he realizes that Miss Ono is also there. When Tatsuya inquires about her presence, Yakumo reveals that she is his student and explains that Miyuki will participate in the Mirage Bat and Pillar Break tournament, which is a part of the 9 schools competition. However, when Tatsuya asks again, Yakumo reveals that Ono is working as a secret investigator on behalf of the police. Tatsuya remarks that she must be a magician then, but Ono doesn't prefer such an introduction, keeping her investigator role a secret. In return, Tatsuya wants her to share all the secret information about Blanche with him. The next day, while everyone is playing football, they praise Tatsuya's agility. Leo and Tatsuya go to meet a boy named Mikiko, whom they want to talk to. Just then, Erika, Mikiko's childhood friend, arrives, but Leo makes a comment about her dress that makes Erika angry, and she kicks him. In the office, they discuss the 9 schools competition, which is a significant event with various magical sports. Miami states that the selection of contestants is crucial and Jumanji will take responsibility for it. Mary mentions the shortage of technical engineers, as there are only 2 in the 2nd and 3rd years. Tatsuya gets up to leave, and A-chan suggests trying Tatsuya for the position, as he can easily fix Miyuki's CAD. Tatsuya reminds them that first-year students are not allowed to become part of the technical staff, but Mary and Miami are willing to negotiate for an exception to this rule. Miyuki also wants Tatsuya to be the one who always fixes her CAD because she trusts him. Miami decides to continue the discussion after lunch. A-chan becomes excited when she sees Tatsuya's silver horn and wants to try it out. Tatsuya shows her his guns for a moment, and A-chan asks about Taurus Silver, a specialist in CAD software for 10 years. She wants to know what Taurus Silver's personality was like. According to Tatsuya, he is a normal human who works for a Japanese firm. Miami reminds A-chan of her duty, as she had an assignment to finish urgently. A-chan is learning about flying techniques in a paper and finds it challenging to understand how flying spells work, involving multiple important technologies like anti-gravity and thermonuclear reactors. She wonders how many steps are involved in the process. Rin informs them that a similar experiment took place in England, but it failed and the exact reason is unknown. Tatsuya explains that combining 2 spells at once is not possible, and British scholars didn't fully understand the concept of antimagic. Later, in a meeting, Miami announces Tatsuya as an engineering staff member, but some students are skeptical of his skills. Therefore, Jumanji gives Tatsuya a chance to prove himself by fixing his CAD. Kirihara offers his CAD for Tatsuya to copy, and Tatsuya prepares for the task. He scans Kirihara's CAD and uses his exceptional typing skills to fine-tune it, leaving everyone surprised. In a few minutes, Tatsuya completes the work, and Kirihara can now use his CAD without any problem. Ichan praises Tatsuya's advanced method, and Hanzo thinks he should be included in the technical team. At night, Tatsuya is shown having a conversation with Major, who informs him that the 9 schools competition will take place in the South Fuji training area. However, Tatsuya needs to be cautious as a member of the crime syndicate was spotted in that area. Kazama tells Tatsuya about his father, who got transferred to the cabinet management agency after retiring. At night, Miyuki brings coffee for Tatsuya, and he notices that she is wearing her Mirage Bat dress, which suits her quite well. Tatsuya then surprises her by showing his flying spell. Miyuki says she had full confidence in Tatsuya's ability to do even impossible tasks easily. Upon her request, Tatsuya teaches her how to use the flying spell as well, as she was curious about any potential side effects. However, Miyuki floats in the air without any concerns and enjoys the experience. As Tatsuya and his friends prepare for the Mirage Bat launch ceremony, they express their admiration and support for him. The ceremony is set to take place after the 5th period, and everyone is excited to see Tatsuya represent Course 2 students in the competition. When the participants gather on stage during the ceremony, Tatsuya gives a speech where he pledges to be a part of the discipline committee during the competition and promises to assist as an engineer as well. During the event, Mizuki notices Tatsuya talking to his friends and suddenly sees a flash. Intrigued, she follows him as he heads towards the medicine experiment corridor. There, she is surprised to find Yoshida with spirits. A confrontation ensues, and Tatsuya intervenes to inquire about Yoshida's experiment. Yoshida reveals that Mizuki tampered with his caster composure spell, causing it to go awry. Tatsuya realizes that she was performing ancient black magic, particularly a water spell. Tatsuya questions Mizuki about what she saw during the experiment, to which she explains that she witnessed various shades of blue colors. Yoshida, who possesses the Crystal Eyes ability, is intrigued by this revelation. He explains that those who can control spirits can see the colors of souls. However, these colors are perceived through magic vibrations. Just like fire appears red and water appears blue, certain individuals like Mizuki can discern the nature of a soul by observing its color. After a while, Miyami rushes to the bus, apologizing for being late and keeping Tatsuya waiting. When Miyami asks Tatsuya about her dress, he observes that she seems stressed, probably because of the responsibility of 10 people on her. He suggests that she should take some rest. Miyami, feeling down, confides in Rin that Tatsuya didn't understand her gesture, but Rin reminds her that Tatsuya is adept at understanding enemies' moves. Hanzo comes forward and offers Miyami a blanket, saying she might feel cold in those clothes, which were meant for the president. Mary then asks if she thinks the technical staff was sent in another bus. When Hanoka asks Miyuki for water, Miyuki starts thinking about Tatsuya. She wonders why he always ends up worrying about things. Her friend comes over and compliments Tatsuya, boosting his morale. However, Miyuki feels a bit jealous. Suddenly, their bus driver brakes as they see a speeding car ahead, causing all the buses to stop. Despite the children trying to use magic to stop the car, none of them are successful. This incident leaves everyone in a difficult situation, and they will need to explore further to find a solution. And Jumanji mentions that he can stop the car with his power but not the fire. Miyuki steps forward and extinguishes the fire. The president expresses her gratitude to both of them, and Miyuki acknowledges Rin's help in achieving the feat. Mira scolds herself for not taking the lead as a senior, realizing that if everyone uses their spells simultaneously, none of the spells would work. Miyami consoles everyone, emphasizing the need to remain calm in such situations. After a while, they all reach the competition ground. Kirihara notices Hanzo's concern and asks him about the reason. Hanzo explains that he should have taken action regarding a recent accident. Kirihara reminds Hanzo that he has already done them a favor. Hanzo's confidence was diminishing in the face of Miyuki's powers. Kirihara starts praising Tatsuya, comparing him to a bloodthirsty Navy officer when dealing with enemies. He has a different perspective on Miyuki, recognizing her as an extraordinary magician who remains composed despite her calm demeanor. However, he refrains from praising her in front of Hanzo to avoid making him feel weak. Miyuki learns that the accident was a deliberate and well-hidden act, involving 3 spells designed in such a way that no evidence would be left behind. Surprisingly, all the spells were activated inside the car by someone who was present at the time of the accident, turning it into a suicide attack. Afterward, Tatsuya and Miyuki meet Erika, who had been waiting for them for 2 days. Tatsuya leaves Miyuki with Erika and focuses on his work. At that moment, Mizuki also joins them, but her casual dressing doesn't sit well with Miyuki, considering they had stayed at a military hotel that belonged to the Chiba family, which also included Erika's family. However, Erika assures Miyuki that she won't discriminate against anyone. She informs them about a party in the hotel that evening and has a way to get Miyuki inside. Later in the evening at the party, Erika, dressed as a waitress, meets Tatsuya and Miyuki. Tatsuya playfully asks if this is her way of getting inside. Miyuki compliments Erika's dress, but Tatsuya remains silent about it. Miyuki explains to Erika that Tatsuya doesn't show interest in girls, so expecting compliments from him is futile. Erika mentions that Yoshida really liked her dress, but Miyuki doesn't know Yoshida. Erika goes off to find Yoshida. Murasaki and Kitayama arrive and inform Miyuki that guests want to meet her, but they seem to be bothered by Tatsuya's presence. Toyota and Kanon then come to them, and an argument ensues between them. Tatsuya sends Miyuki to celebrate with her team. When Erika returns with Yoshida, she appears a little embarrassed as they both had worn matching clothes. Tatsuya advises Erika to show respect to Yoshida and not call her Mickey to improve their relationship, to which Erika agrees, thanking him. Miyuki attracts the attention of a boy from another school named Masaki, who inquires about her to his friend George. Soon, Chairman Mr. Retsukudo takes the stage to make an announcement. Tatsuya senses something amiss upon seeing him and performs a magic trick that only 5 children in the audience recognize. He did this as a precaution in case any danger arises and the students can use their magic to stop it, as magic should only be used for good purposes. As per Mr. Retsu, even a small magic can be effective if used creatively. That night, when Miyuki inquires about the upcoming events, Murasaki informs her that Miami will be participating in speed shooting, and the performance of the elfin sniper will also be worth watching. Kanon excitedly tells them about the hotel's hot spring, which they can visit before 11 p.m. While Yoshida is practicing with her spirits, she feels that someone is secretly watching her. She chases after them, but suddenly, Tatsuya arrives. It turns out that Tatsuya had caught those thieves himself. When Tatsuya checks them, he finds that they were all completely unconscious. Tatsuya praises Yoshida's attack, but she insists that he wouldn't have caught them without Tatsuya's help. He advises Yoshida to have confidence in herself, as he has witnessed the power of her spells. The next day is the Magic Skill Goodwill Tournament, also known as the 9-School Competition, where all eyes are on the students from First High School this year. Tatsuya asks Hanoka about her condition, and she mentions working on her stamina. Miyuki notices that Haruka is looking quite muscular lately, which embarrasses her. The trials for the 3rd match are about to begin, and all the athletes take their positions. Mary is also a part of the match, and Tatsuya observes her magic spell, understanding that she's using a continuous multicast spell to reinforce her skateboard, essentially making it a part of her body. Later, Kazama calls Tatsuya to his room, emphasizing that they invited him not just as a magician, but as their friend. Tatsuya reveals that the intruders who came the other day were head dragons, and their target is likely the 9 schools competition. Kazama informs Tatsuya that the investigation is still ongoing, and if there's any update, they will let him know. When Major Yamakana asks if Tatsuya is participating in the event, his assistant suggests that with his flash and mist dispersion skills, Tatsuya can do very well. However, Kazama believes that using advanced casting techniques in a public tournament might not be appropriate. Tatsuya agrees, saying that competing as technical staff would not look good. Later, at the speed shooting venue, Erika calls out to Tatsuya, and he sees the chairwoman participating. Erika explains that Yoshida wasn't feeling well, so she decided to take it easy. During the competition, Miami hits every target perfectly and wins each match flawlessly. In their room, her teammates congratulate her and also mention Hanzo's good performance in the board competition. They all want Hanzo to handle the CAD responsibility, but when Miyuki goes late at night to inform Tatsuya, he gets upset because it was quite late. He has to leave his work and escort her to her room. The next day is Miami's match, and Tatsuya helps her fix her CAD. She jokes that he reminds her of her brother, but later says it was just a prank, which Tatsuya doesn't appreciate. He moves on to check on the other contestants when Rin arrives and asks him to take care of Miami. Everyone performs well in their competitions. Kanon also defeats her opponent effortlessly, giving them an advantage to secure a spot in the final. Tatsuya explains that they need to win at least 4 out of 6 matches to increase their chances of reaching the finals. As Tatsuya conducts his experiments, Miyuki arrives in his room with all her friends. Erika starts asking about Tatsuya's weaponized integrated CAD, and he refers her to Leo, as Leo was the one interested in using it. When Leo uses Tatsuya's new CAD, he is delighted with its extended capabilities, allowing him to reach enemies with ease. They both demonstrate it, boosting Leo's confidence even more. The next day is the semifinal of the board competition, and during a match, Mary has an accident and gets injured. She is taken to Susanoo Hospital, where Miami visits her and feels saddened by Mary's condition. Mary's ribs were damaged and she couldn't use magic due to the injury. Miami informs Mary that the girl Mary collided with is in better condition because Mary saved her from a severe collision. Mary learns that it was Tatsuya who first rushed to her aid when she was unconscious and brought her to the hospital with the help of the medical team. Miami suspects that someone else used a spell to cause the accident and tells Tatsuya that he is investigating the incident. Tatsuya begins his investigation and discovers that surveillance cameras are installed throughout the hotel and NSC magicians are also on guard, suggesting that the spell must have been used from underwater. Mizuki and Yoshida join Tatsuya in the investigation and he explains the situation to them, suggesting that delayed magic might have been used to cause Mary's accident. If it's not underwater, then there must be something in the water that caused the accident. Yoshida suggests that it's possible to use spirit magic to achieve that, and he himself is capable of doing so. However, creating such a disturbance in the water to cause Mary's imbalance would be difficult. Tatsuya becomes suspicious of the 7th student who collided with Mary, as his movement showed signs of being unnatural and unprofessional. Tatsuya starts suspecting the technical staff of the 7th student, and even considers the possibility of a tournament committee member being involved. Miyuki points out that everyone keeps their CADs in secret lockers, so how could someone have tampered with them? During a meeting, they all discuss the importance of coming first in the upcoming matches or winning will be nearly impossible. Miami requests Tatsuya's presence to discuss something important. Rin explains the situation again, and Miami wants Miyuki to participate in the Mirage Bat event in place of Mary, with Tatsuya's engineering skills supporting her to win. The next day, the rookie events begin. Hanako wants Tatsuya to keep an eye on her match. When Tatsuya checks Shizuku's CAD, she offers him a job in her Chiyoda family after seeing his capabilities. However, Tatsuya prefers not to work without a license. During Shizuku's shooting match, she impressively shoots consecutive targets, thanks to Tatsuya's fine-tuning of her CAD. Rin explains that she used an active air mine spell, which was contrary to Miyami's expectations. As Shizuku's match proceeds, Miyami and her friends focus on the upcoming competitions. Tatsuya readies Shizuku's CAD for the next rounds, and she gains confidence for the upcoming matches.